Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is James Yankee. I am one of the platform success managers here in the United States. Today we're going to be going over the ConnectWise integration with the Ingram Cloud Marketplace. First and foremost, I'm going to start on the Cloud Marketplace landing page here. On this landing page there is normally two login methods up here in the upper right side of your screen. Please log in with whichever one that you're most familiar with. I would say most partners are, I would say the most common is going to be logging with I am online. So once you are logged in, then this button in the middle will change from become a reseller to control panel. At that point you will click into the control panel here. This is going to upload your reseller control panel and the Ingram Marketplace. On the menu options here on the left hand side, you are going to scroll down towards the bottom here and click on the integrations option. Once you click on the integration option, you will see the ConnectWise tile here show up. There's going to be some additional tiles here showing up here in the next couple months. But we are always going to be regularly updating and have a significant focus on the ConnectWise integration. The first time that you're going through this process, it will say install instead of manage. You can either click on the tile or the button itself to continue on. They're both going to take you to the same path. So once you click on the tile or that button, it's going to take you to this connection setup screen here. So what this connection setup screen is going to be is the information from your ConnectWise environment. That's going to be your company ID and your API base URL, which are going to be from your login screen on your ConnectWise side. Additionally, you do have to create the API keys. So to get the public key and the private key, if you're not familiar with that process, I'm going to go through two steps of that process now. The first one is going to be creating the security role with the appropriate permissions that are needed for the integration itself. So first and foremost, you're going to click on System and then Security Role. And then from there, you'll click on the plus sign to create a new security role. Once you click on that plus sign, then you'll just name that security role something something that you're going to be able to easily remember. Most partners are doing something along the lines of Ingram Micro API or something similar to that. When you save that, it's going to give you the different permissions boxes. So within the permission boxes, we're going to go through some of the permissions that are required. So under the companies tab, company maintenance, the inquire level is going to be needed, and that's going to be needed at all. And then contacts is going to be needed at the inquire level as well. The next one is going to be underneath the finance tab. It's going to be agreements. All 4 levels have to be changed to all. Then the invoicing option needs to be changed at the inquire level to all. So from there, we're going to move on to the procurement tab. So under procurement, you're going to select on the product catalog, and it's going to need the add level and the inquire level both changed to all. That's going to be it for the procurement tab here. The last one is going to be under system. Towards the very bottom of that section, if you look at table setup here, you're going to need to have inquire level changed to all. And then once you do that and you click on save, then that security role will be created and saved. The next step here is going to be clicking on system and then members. And then once your member options open up here, you're going to click on API members here in the middle of your screen. And then again, click on that plus sign to create that member. When you're creating that member, a lot of the good portion of these fields are going to fill out automatically. The three that are going to need to have actual information put into them is going to be the member ID, the member name, and the role ID. So the member ID and the member name can be named whatever you decide that you're comfortable with naming it. Again, I normally recommend something along the lines of Ingram Micro Connection, Ingram Micro API, just so that way it's clearly identifying itself. Additionally, underneath System down here, for the role ID, you're going to click on the drop down here and you're going to search for and scroll till you see the security role that we just created. So once you see that security role that we just created, then you'll just select that, click on Save, and it will then save that information for the API member. Once you save that information, you can click over here to the API keys, click onto that particular the key here. You're going to click into the plus sign. When you click into the plus sign, you're going to again name the description of what you want the API keys to be referenced as. And then once you input information there and you click on Save, it's going to create the public key and the private key. Now this is the only time that you're going to be able to see that private key. So I normally do recommend, saving these in some sort of password type application that is going to store that information for you. Or if you're not comfortable with that, then you can always come in here and just click on that plus sign and recreate those keys again. But you'll take that information from here and input it into the public key and the private key boxes respectively. And then from there, the top portion of the platform is essentially connected. The bottom portion of this box is going to be what we reference as the global settings across your whole integration. So the first one is going to be the price source. Where do you want the pricing to be pulled from in regards to this integration? By default, it is going to be selected to the Cloud Marketplace. You have the option to change it over to pull the pricing from your product catalog and ConnectWise. I like to use as reference if you're going to be just charging your customers the recommended MSRP, or the recommended vendor MSRP. That's going to be what's preloaded onto the marketplace. So I would recommend just leaving it as the Cloud Marketplace pricing. Additionally, you get to choose how you want the additions to essentially happen. So by default, it's going to add a cancellation date to your existing addition line item, and it's also going to create a new line item with the updated information. And then the other option is to take the existing addition that's there and then modify that line item and just update the quantities rather than cancel and recreate a second one. Initially, during the initial setup process, I normally do recommend doing the cancel and create, and from that point forward, then if the modified option is their preferred method, then switch it over to there, but that at least the line items are connected to the integration itself then. Then the next option and setting that you have here is going to be the ability to turn on the auto sync functionality. So there are some steps that are needed prior to turning on the auto sync functionality. I'll go over those on the next video here, but you do have the ability to turn it on, and the options here for the auto sync are you can do it once per day, or you can check once every 5 minutes. Most common is going to be once per day. And then the notifications, the default is going to be just notifying you of errors and when your action is needed. But you can also switch it to notify you of anything that's created and synchronized as well.
At this point in the demonstration, we've already gone over connecting your ConnectWise platform to the cloud, your reseller control panel and the Cloud Marketplace. At this point, this icon up here should refresh from being red and say not connected to green and say connected. So from that point on, this check changes button will be much larger in the middle of your screen here, because there's not gonna it's not gonna pull the active task automatically. So first thing you'll do is click on that check changes button. what that's going to do at that point is it's going to be looking for any recent sales orders, any recent change orders where you're adding or decreasing licenses, any billing orders around your Azure, your Acronis, your Sophos, and those types of items. And then also any cancellation orders. The cancellation orders are just primarily going to add a date to whatever existing line item you have in your additions tab, and to make sure that it's not being invoiced anymore. So as you can see, I just got done checking my changes, and I have some different orders that are generating here that have recently been placed. So now there's a couple different ways to go through like the setup and mapping process. So the first one that I want to touch on is just mapping everything ahead of time. So if you click on the settings icon here, then you click on mapping. This is going to generate your customer list. Right now I have it toggled to only show the customers that are unmapped, but if I uncheck that, then it is going to show me all my customers, even the ones that are already mapped. A couple reasons why I want to point this out is, as you can see, this customer here is already mapped. There is a way to go into this account by clicking on the three dots here and then clicking on Reconcile, and that will take you into that customer account where you can then select the agreement and the products and whatnot to make sure everything is matching up and aligned correctly. For the mapping portion though, specifically, you would just go right down the line here and just click into the box, and then from there just select the appropriate customer that you want that to be mapped to. On the product side, it's going to be the same process virtually. So you're going to get a list of products that you have active in your reseller control panel now, and then if you just work your way right down the list here, I'm going to use the Business Basic as an example. So when I click into this product, first and foremost, it's going to show all the different add-ons that are available as well under that product, the same way it would show on the marketplace. But as you can see, we just find that Business Basic product there, and when I click into this field here, it's not going to automatically search for it. The reason being is that the product catalog is normally a lot larger, and it creates a little bit of lag when we did have that enabled, so we turned it off so that way it was allowing a pretty smooth search process. So what you'll have to do is just type in what that product is created as, and as you can see here, it's generating a list based off of the information I'm giving it. Additionally, if this is a brand new product, or say that I want to refresh my product catalog exactly how, exactly when I'm doing this and make sure everything's aligned, correctly via the integration, I can also click on this Add Product to ConnectWise button, and at that point, it's going to give me a little pop-out window. It's going to have about half the information already generating and populating, pulling based off of what it's pulling from the Cloud Marketplace. From there, you would just select the categories and subcategories, verify that your unit price and your unit cost is exactly how you want it to be set. Click on Add and Map, and then it will instantly create that product in your product catalog in ConnectWise, and it will also map that product here at this step as well. So that takes care of being able to do the mapping like ahead of time. If you just want to move forward with mapping the customers and the products as they're showing up, or say for example that you initially want to only set up a couple customers, something along those lines, then you can search for that customer name, and then it will restrict everything to just that customer account. And then what you would do is just find the oldest line item, and then click on Sync Changes. And then again, it's going to give you the same things, the same steps that we just went through, as far as being able to map the customer, being able to map the product, and then obviously jumping into the agreement portion. Now with the product portion, one thing I didn't touch on is when you map that product, now it's mapping it for all customers across your whole reseller control panel. So at that point, whether you take, for example, Exchange Align Kiosk, if I have another 8 customers that have Exchange Align Kiosk, even though I might not have mapped those customers, this product is already going to be mapped for those customers when I do get to the point of mapping that customer and doing that active task. So now on the agreement side, the agreements that are going to show here in this little drop down are going to align to whatever the product term is. So if you have a monthly product, it's only going to show monthly agreements. If you have annual products, it's only going to show the annual agreements. We are working on expanding that to be able to allow some, some cross alignment. So like a monthly SKU to an annual agreement, or say that you have an annual agreement that you, or an annual product that you also want to include, being mapped to a monthly agreement. So that way, when there's changes made, it can be invoiced. We're working on aligning those and rolling out that availability as well. So once the agreement that you want this to map to shows up, you would just click on that agreement, and then it's going to generate the line items here. So as I kind of went over on the settings icon there about canceling and creating in the additions tab. So that's what the current setting is right now. So as you can see, my top line item is my prorated order that is generating for a quantity of 1. It was ordered on June 18th. Here's my prorated MSRP cost. Here's my prorated cost. Then what it's doing with line 2 is it's pulling in the existing line item that's showing in my ConnectWise, and it's adding a cancellation date to that. The reason why it's adding a cancellation date to that is because we no longer have 2 items, quantity of 2. So we want that to not be available to be invoiced anymore at that point. And then it's creating a new line item with an effective date of what my next billing period is going to be, which is July 1st, leaving the cancellation date open. So that way it's going to be continuously invoiced out of unless there's changes made to it, and it updates the quantity to 3. Reason why I'm specifying and breaking it down that way is because I do normally recommend the first time that you're going through it to allow that process to play out with the canceling any open addition, any open line items in the additions tab, and creating a new one. That way it's going to be aligned to the integration itself. And then at that point, if you choose to switch it over to just modifying those line items. So at this point, as you can see, as I'm moving around, anywhere that the pencil icon pops up, I have the ability to edit that information. I do have the ability per active task to change where I'm pulling that pricing source from. It is going to default to whatever I set on that settings icon to pull the price from. So right now I have it set to pull the pricing from the Cloud Marketplace, but I can easily toggle this to be pulling it from ConnectWise. And then additionally, if say, for example, that I'm bundling this item with some other items, so I don't necessarily want this to be invoiced directly to the customer, I can uncheck this billable column, and that will make it a non-billable item. Or say that this is in an area where we're not applying tax to the CSP items, then you would just turn off the tax for those line items, and then it would make it a non-taxable item as well. At that point, if everything is correct and reflects exactly how you want it, then you would just click on Sync All, and then that is going to move everything over to your ConnectWise environment. So what it's going to look like on the ConnectWise side here. So when I go into the customer account, I'm going to click on that agreement. I'm going to click on this additions tab here. And as I kind of went over with the different stuff that's going on, so I'm going to use these couple sequence numbers to show you kind of exactly how that process would play out here. So here's my open line item that I just updated the quantity to. Here is my old line item that had a quantity of 1 that I added a cancellation date to. here's my order that was placed to add an additional license to that line item to give us quantity number 2. That's essentially what it's going to move over and how it would initially operate under the cancel and create option. So if we're just switching it over to the modify, then it's just going to continuously update this open line item, whether the quantity is going up or down. It's going to continuously update that line item. So now at this point in the demonstrations, we've gone over how to set up the security roles, how to set up your API member in your ConnectWise environment. We've gone over the mapping and for your customers and your products, how to set up the synchronization process, how to also set up the different global settings on the integration itself. So I'd like to go over some of the most recent updates that we've made to the integration itself. So beyond the steps that I've already gone over, some of the most recent features that we've rolled out are going to be available under the connection setup screen here. So some of these that are down here at the bottom, one of the most recent features has been the ability to control whether you're adding a cancellation date and creating a new line item, or if you're just going to modify the already existing line item underneath your additions tab. Additionally, having the ability to toggle on and off the auto sync functionality across the whole integration and the whole platform, being able to check the time that you want this auto syncing to happen. Additionally, the ability to modify the notifications and how you're being notified of different things that are happening, different errors that are going on, different stuff that's being synchronized and available to be synchronized as well. Beyond that, you can also go into the mapping screen here, and you have your customers list. You also have the ability, which we recently added, to go ahead and map all of your products and unmap any products that may be incorrectly mapped as well on this mapping screen. Additionally, you have the ability to import customers from your ConnectWise environment and have them have that customer and that customer account created on the Cloud Marketplace with utilizing the information that you've already set up and created inside your ConnectWise environment. And then one of the more frequently asked for features that we've encountered is going to be setting up an iframe right in your ConnectWise environment. So right underneath companies, I have this set up right now. So most people are very familiar with how ConnectWise works and the ways to go through this. So we do have the ability to set up an iframe right in the Cloud Marketplace here. And now this is going to take you to the login screen, but once I do put in my login credentials, it will allow me access to my reseller control panel and allow me access to do everything that I would do on the Cloud Marketplace normally. And I can do that right in my ConnectWise environment directly from my ConnectWise platform moving forward. Thank you for taking the time to join me today and watch the demo videos that we have across our integration. I appreciate your interest in that, and myself and the rest of the platform success team look forward to working with you on this integration either already or shortly. Thank you again.